Why don't we get into that Wheeler project first of all? Because obviously you are, Athabasca Basin, well famous for being, high grade uranium deposits. So can you tell us a little bit about Wheeler, how you got into it, and what the plans are?
Well, Wheeler's been in the Denison family for a long time. Project was optioned from Cameco back in the day, and at the time, the project had no known uranium deposits. And really, our team over the last 10 years has found two high-grade uranium deposits. The first was Phoenix in around 2008. Phoenix became really well known in the last uranium cycle because of its super high grades. And we've been able to delineate and increase the size of that resource to the point where we now have over 70 million pounds U3O8 at an average grade of over 19%. So that does make Phoenix the highest grade undeveloped uranium deposit in the world. 2014, we found a second deposit about 3 kilometers away from Phoenix. It's the Griffin Deposit, also high grade, grades around 2%, and you're in the range there, 65, 70 million pounds as well. Those two deposits were taken forward for a PEA, or preliminary economic assessment, almost 4 years ago now. And that was really designed to sort of stress test the project and say, like, hey, do we have enough pounds? Can we make money on this as a co-development scenario? We did, and we used sort of a typical mining methods, nothing fancy about that. We used jet boring at Phoenix, the same as they're using at Cigar Lake, and we used underground mining at Gryphon. Where our story and really this history is important for Wheeler, because we could have left it there, right? The project was generating a 20% pre-tax IRR at $44 uranium. I mean, from interviewing many of the other companies that's something that most people haven't done. And what I mean is run a price deck at $44, right? But we looked at it and said, the Phoenix deposit was actually coming out as being lower margin than Gryphon at the time, using that jet bore mining method. And we really rejected the validity of that, because here we had a 19% average grade, highest grade undeveloped uranium deposit in the world. How could it be that this was lower margin than a 2% basement hosted Griffin deposit? And that's where we got to the PFS. So we've increased the level of confidence here. We've gone from a PEA to a PFS, and we've switched mining methods at Phoenix, selecting in situ recovery. And that's got us now positioned to have potentially the lowest cost in the business.
But again, I want to kind of keep this simple, because there's going to be guys watching this who are uranium buffs. They know everything that there is to know. And then there's going to be a bunch of other guys, generalists, who are coming to uranium space when they see this market pick up. So can you just kind of break down what ISR is versus conventional mining?
All right. So, I mean, certainly there's a selection of mining methods in the uranium space, right? Historically, you've seen open pit mines used for shallow high-grade deposits in the Athabasca Basin. You can look at our own McLean Lake deposits, which have been mined out on that basis. Gryphon fits really well as an underground mine. It's in competent basement rock. So this is dry rock. In the Athabasca Basin, you have a very large geologic formation. It's literally a basin or a bathtub. Above the basin, you've got sandstone, and you've got a tub of water in that sandstone. Below the tub, you've got those basement rocks, competent things, the kind of thing you'd want to tunnel in. So Gryphon fits really well as the basement-hosted deposit. Fits really well with underground mining. It'd be very similar to Cameco's Eagle Point operation. It's great. It's a dry mine, and actually the grades at Gryphon are high, but not too high. So we can use very low-cost underground mining methods, and we don't have to worry about the sort of radiation exposure associated with high-grade deposits where you're using man access mining techniques. So Gryphon is a good story that way. You can move to Phoenix, and Phoenix is hosted actually in the Athabasca sandstone. So it's not hosted in that basement rock. It's actually in that permeable porous sandstone. And that's what allows us to look at using ISR mining. So over half of the world's uranium production today is coming from ISR mining. Right. And those are all sandstone hosted deposits. And it's really all about, can you move fluid or solution through that host rock to be able to actually use ISR mining? And I guess if I just back up one step on that, in ISR mining, it's in situ recovery. It's a mining method that's mining the target mineral while it sits in the host rock without extracting that rock. That's what in situ really means. And to do it, you're using a series of wells that drill into the ore body and around it, and you inject a mining solution and you pump it through a series of pump wells, and it comes out of a recovery well where you're pulling that solution out. And as it moves from an injection well to a recovery well, you're actually leaching the uranium in ground and pulling up really only what you want, and not pulling up the waste product. Right? You've left the stuff that you didn't want in the ground. And so on surface, you don't have a big processing plant with crushing, grinding. You don't even have a leaching circuit. You've done your leaching in ground. On surface, you really just have a plant that takes that uranium-rich solution, drops out the uranium, and then refortifies your mining solution and sends it back in ground. So total spectrum of mining methods in the space, and the project at Wheeler has exposure to two of those different methods, being underground at Gryphon and ISR.
Right. So I guess conventional underground mining, people understand that because it's used the world over. But you're saying ISR is used in what would you say 50% of the world's uranium production.
Yeah.
So it's
half of the world today is ISR mining. Correct?
Right. So it's fairly conventional in that sense. It's a well understood technology. There's nothing new about it. And in Canada, is it well understood? Is it used by other companies?
Well, in Canada, this would be the first ISR uranium mine.
Right.
But what I would say is that, in the United States, in Australia, Kazakhstan, ISR mining is happening all day, every day.
Okay.
So people in Canada who are familiar with the uranium space are certainly familiar with ISR mining.